Hey, entrepreneurs, executives, and spammers. We started the Pilot House email and customer retention team to crush targets. And in our fourth year, we are the best customer retention team in the Roman character set. We use campaigns to fire up the addresses you spent so much money to acquire and build effective automations that keep your engagement window fat and drive value that you can amortize over years. The cheapest customer is the customer you already have, and the most effective ad funnels go to high-intent audience. Come to pilothouse.co, fill out the lead form, and ask to speak with me directly. I'll give you a free audit. Back to the show.
In the inbox late night, glowing screen, see the light. Email, everything feels alright.
We're doing American Eagle versus Everlane. It's going to be an amazing matchup of email and on-site creative and tactics. You're either a price taker or you're a sensation maker. That's the way it is. And genes are commoditized. The way that you sell is by grabbing attention. Sydney Sweeney's campaign has grabbed attention. It has moved sales. It has moved stock price. That's what it was supposed to do. I got triple tapped. American Eagle triple tapped. If you don't do it right, you will end up in the spam folder. It's the world's best email and retention podcast, and I'm your host, Jordan Gordon. We are a member of the DTC network of podcasts and the philosophical home of the Pilot House email and customer retention team. If you want to make the sweet nectar of low-cost revenue a large part of your digital ecosystem, then follow us on your favorite podcast app today. This time, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. We're doing American Eagle versus Everlane. It's going to be an amazing matchup of email and on-site creative and tactics, and we can just compare how these two apparel giants do business online. All right? So, of course, you will want to watch this episode on YouTube where you get full visuals. If you're in your car, I'll talk through it, but it's definitely, this one will be better to be viewed visually. Recently, there was a very large American Eagle campaign. For any of you who are blissfully off of the slop of social media, you might be unaware, but Sydney Sweeney was featured in the American Eagle campaign. And it was a deviation from, I would say, kind of advertising norms that we've seen in the last, several years, which got a buzz, drove some interesting results. So we're going to kind of analyze that. But then also, we're going to just talk about like how companies do it without big splashes like that. How smaller companies that are competing do it without big splashes like that. We discussed quite a bit with my staff. I've got a lot of, thoughtful young people who work for us. And this American Eagle campaign definitely made a splash, not only out in the world, but also, I'd say in the workplace. We ultimately are an advertising firm, right? Now we do customer retention on our team, so it's kind of a step after the advertising, but we're definitely an advertising firm. And so there was lots of discussion about, what the purpose of advertising is and what we should expect from advertising in years to come. And one comment I'll make is as a, kind of 45-year-old, I would say late Gen Z, 46-year-old, late Gen Z, dad. Certainly people going forward aren't going to value the things that you valued. A lot of the things that you value are a product of the environment you were in and the time you were in when you were young. And whenever I see advertising trends change, it's something I take note of. It's something I pay attention to how, me and my team and my company, can leverage that going forward. The game of advertising is amazing. Let's just compare some core figures for these two companies. American Eagle, a little bit less than $2.5 billion market cap, publicly traded company. Everlane, something more like 250 million market cap, although they're not publicly traded, so that information is estimation. American Eagle is kind of brick and mortar retail first, and they have moved online and started doing DTC. Everlane is DTC first. I remember when kind of Everlane started getting big, 15 years ago or something like that. They were a DTC first firm, but they now have some brick and mortar. Interesting advantage from that is when you're DTC first, especially customer retention, which is totally based on the email address, the phone number. From the very beginning, you are plugged into the identity for your customer for outbound marketing. And as you scale out to brick and mortar, you can just plug that brick and mortar into that. Some people do it simply by asking for an email address at physical point of purchase. Some people integrate, you can actually integrate your cash machine with Shopify. I'd have no idea how that works. I'm not a B&M kind of guy at heart, but you can do that. And there's lots of other ways. Also business model. This doesn't apply to Everlane, but if you are a co-op like Mountain Equipment Co-op or similar co-ops, whenever someone purchases, they purchase through their membership. And so they're plugged in. So there is a nice tactical advantage that Everlane has being DTC first and being like a younger apparel company versus AE. American Apparel revenues, approximately $5 billion, says here. Everlane revenues, approximately $200 million. So interestingly, Everlane market cap is approximately sales. Having your market cap being sales is pretty normal, in a lot of cases. Different if you're like a high growth Moon Land Rover company or something like that, like if you're a Frontier company. But kind of normal for Main Street companies. AE, market cap is about half revenue. Market cap is half of revenue. That means, relatively speaking, if we just go if we use sales, and why are we using sales? Because Everlane's not a publicly traded company, so I couldn't really dig into there. But, price to sales, AE sells at a discount versus Everlane, despite being much larger and having money to throw around, like at Sydney Sweeney campaigns. Let's just talk through a couple of recent campaigns to set the stage and understand where these guys are going before we go into a bunch of visuals and analysis. This sensational Sydney Sweeney campaign that launched recently, I've seen a bunch of different numbers go around. These big things get thrown around. It added $500 million in market cap. Some of that was probably ephemeral and just kind of meme stock kind of thing, but it added, even briefly adding $500 million to market cap and then having it degrade from there certainly drives headlines. And a 9% increase in same-store sales that week. Getting same-store sales up 9% is, for a big company, is not a small feat. Same-store sales, by the way, means that it's a store that's been open for at least 1 year. Generally, maybe they have a different definition, but that's the definition I've always worked from. Okay, so that was pretty big, and we were talking about it. Everyone was kind of discussing this thing because it was in the zeitgeist. Well, look, I've done some deeper analysis, by the way, and American Eagle has been in a trading range since 2004. So let's just say a 20-year trading range for the stock. Sorry to get so much more stock stuff. I want to just talk about, how can you discuss advertising if you don't discuss the effects of advertising, right? If it's not for a financial result, then it's just actually art, right? So they have been in a trading range since 2004, and it's a fairly wide trading range. Some big peaks. 2006, 2018 was a big peak. There was, of course, a peak in 2021. Lots of companies had peaks in 2021 because the market went up because of coronavirus. But if we think about being in a trading range of, say, $10 to $20 per share, and market cap for the market going up 600% over that time, that's not a win, right? Just think about this. If you're in a trading range and inflation has kind of doubled costs, but your price stays the same. It's not a huge win. Of course, like asterisks. Yeah, there could have been stock splits in there. I haven't done like a full finance analysis on this company. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. But even if there were some stock splits, look, you've been in a trading range for 20 years in a market where there have been vicious buybacks driving price up. So this big, huge campaign is actually just part of the cycle of advertising, right? So what are some other things that were happening? Well, in 2018, American Eagle was doing Lil Wayne Makes Moves. And Lil Wayne is a rap artist. They also did a prominent back to school campaign at that point. And then we look back to 2006 when they had another kind of peak, another stock price peak in their trading range that they've been in. The Live Your Life campaign drove a 22% increase in sales. I mean, that increase in sales was more than the increase from this Sydney Sweeney campaign. Drove a 22% increase in sales. And I found a prominent, a very skillfully written headline when I was doing my investigation. Listen to this one. Only you can be you, so you just have to live your life being you. And that was a quote from, it looked like an athlete who was part of the Live Your Life campaign. Only you can be you, so you just have to live your life being you. It's very poignant, right? And look, when your product is a commodity, you're either a price taker or you're a sensation maker. That's the way it is. And jeans are commoditized. The way that you sell is by grabbing attention. And Sydney Sweeney's campaign has grabbed attention. It has moved sales. It has moved stock price. That's what it was supposed to do. It did not move sales as much as very simple campaigns in past because they're in a pretty tight spot. Tariffs and just general economy, and also tastes have changed. I mean, one thing we got to think about the Sydney Sweeney campaign is in one of them, it's someone just she gets in a Mustang or something like that and drives away. That's just classic American iconography, if you will. Classic American symbolism. There's still lots of people who love that classic American symbolism, but we're not in a time of homogeneity in the psychographics of the consumer. Things are incredibly fragmented. So you can grab that symbology, that iconography, and push that forward and drive a bunch of sales, but not as many as you could have driven, let's just say like more recently after the Cold War, right? Which is kind of, I guess, 2006 is more recently after the Cold War, still I would say like a different psychographic era. So they made a sensation. They drove a bunch of sales. It doesn't look like it had as much juice as it used to have, but still did its job. And look, that's what advertising is. How about Everlane? So yeah, about something like 15 years old. I remember their style, their branding, their visual branding from when they launched. I was in fashion at the time, and a lot of people loved it. They're also going through their own kind of, issues. They've got a new CEO recently. They don't do big splash campaigns. There's no Sydney Sweeney for Everlane. They do other stuff to make it into the news. So how were they making it into the news before? They were riding this very prominent wave. They look at this 2018 Renew outerwear. It was jackets made from recycled plastic bottles, and you use the recycled plastic bottle to make the clothing, which is pretty good idea. Now, I do know something about plastics. There are so many kinds of plastics. Some plastics you can do something with, some plastics you can't. So there's no way to turn all plastics that are created into outerwear, but certainly some will be able to do that. So this is not a bad general production idea if you want to try to decrease the amount of plastics that are kind of making it their way into the environment. So Renew Outerwear is kind of an interesting campaign. 2024, what's the most recent campaign? People say it's perfect, and they just show some pleated pants and how perfect those pleated pants are. That's the most recent campaign, right? It's not Sydney Sweeney. I'll just say, hey, what a chance to get back into pleated pants, Everlane. I realize actually, pleats have kind of been out for a long time on a broad basis, but there have always been some fashionable people, some particularly fashionable people who've kept with pleats, and pleats have been like threatening to come back in for quite a while, and they haven't really broken out, but I'm interested in seeing the day that they do. Kind of looking at the people say it's perfect and checking out their pleats campaign. was interesting as I was doing my investigation for this. So yeah, sum all that up. It's kind of David versus Goliath, but also, David's got some interesting technology, Goliath doesn't. And they're slugging it away, trying to create a space in the consumer's mind for them. On that note, let's go through some assets, okay? American Eagle. First of all, let's just look at their subject lines and stuff. American Eagle was emailing me approximately every 1.25 days, so they were certainly getting into my inbox. It's on 25% off all jeans and pants. Okay, look. Let's just look back down a few days. What are we seeing here? 35% off just for you. Great jeans sale, 30 to 40% off. And then, a few days later, they try to entice me with 25% off in the subject line? It's not doing it. Now, of course, maybe the 40% off wasn't on jeans and pants, but the way that they've messaged this, people are not reading your subject lines trying to figure out, what are the inner workings of this company? They're just looking at the subject line very briefly and splashing by. So first of all, they've got this whole thing out of order. You want to finish off with your largest discount percentage, and you want to think about that when you look at your calendar. If you're trying to hit revenue targets all of a sudden, this is what they're doing for sure right now. They've got a bunch of press, and they're trying to make as much money off that press as they can. So some of this might be a little bit herky-jerky. Found your next fave graphic tee. That's actually one of the only subject lines I found appealing, maybe because I'd like a graphic tee. Great jeans sale, 30 to 40% off. Of course, they're just capitalizing on the large campaign. $35 jeans, pants, sweatshirts. What did I like that? Because it was $35. And everything is percent. What does that mean? Am I going to be saving, $7, right? With all this percent everywhere, seeing $35 was good. Okay, I know what I'm paying. I'm paying $35. Look at this. JK, friend. 24 more hours to claim your mystery deal. Guess how interested I am with that subject line, right? A day to claim my mystery deal. I wonder how complicated the system is that reveals this mystery to me, or is it just a static deal? And then we will compare this to some Everlane subject lines in a little bit, and I'll just kind of spoiler alert. I think there's some nicer work done in the Everlane subject lines. Okay, this is just a shot of all the messages that AE sent me. I just screenshot, go back, email screenshot, go back and email screenshot. And the first thing that should stick out at you is I got triple tapped. American Eagle triple tapped me. It's like the exact same email 3 times in a row. This 35% almost all AE and Aerie. Including great jeans. So, they're definitely riding this, right? I do like this AE jeans guide. Hey, that's giving me something. Especially since, I'm old and I've got some young staff, gotta be kind of cool. So the little jeans guide, I can use that, right? And now that jeans guide below that, we probably just got some recommendations that it's running, which is awesome. That's perfect. You want to get an email out there and you want it to, build a relationship. You can't just send 30% off almost all AE and Aerie. You got to do something useful. So send out some content like your jeans guide or your lookbook. Everlane also has a nice one of these, which we'll look at. And then just put some recommendations below it. Boom, you got an email, right? Yeah, and we can see in here is an email specifically on Sydney Sweeney's great jeans. So this is quite recent. They're still pushing this exact same content out. They're just repurposing it. And why not? A little kind of zoom in, we can see on the left here, this was obviously, you can see the hero shot has changed, or the on-model shot has changed. So we've got a animated GIF there, 100 plus new styles, right? Hey, this was the t-shirt one I was looking at that I found interesting. 100 plus new styles. That's actually pretty cool. I want to get into that, right? So much to look at. And then this kind of proportion play, tiny top, baggy shorts, baggy top, tiny shorts. That's actually kind of cool. That's kind of similar to solid pattern solid in suits. So it's actually kind of playing on a relative kind of style tips. Hey, sending out actual style tips. So the last one, this is what I've most recently got, is like, it's just 30% off in my face. Did consider unsubscribing, but I wanted to bring this very important podcast to you. Let's actually pause and talk about that. Let's talk about triple tapping somebody and emailing somebody every 1.25 days. If you don't do it right, you will end up in the spam folder. First of all, right? Lots of fashion brands do it. I don't think you maintain a long relationship, but the thing is, you got to understand these fashion companies, all that matters is the next quarter, right? I mean, I just told you about kind of AE's stock history. They need revenue next quarter. They're not going to build a strategy to keep someone on their list for 3 years. And also, if you look here, and then we're going to compare it to Everlane when we get there, you'll notice this is a rather young customer, or their avatar is a rather young customer. So someone's going to graduate out of this into another brand anyway. So why try to build that relationship? So essentially, they're going to send as many emails as they can as long as they stay in the inbox. Some important things for that are having a static send size. If you are constantly changing your send size, you can't send as many emails. And it's just because it's just too erratic. And Gmail and Yahoo, it just kind of ticks them off a bit. Now, let's shift to kind of a strategy that we use just to talk about different ways of doing things. We focus more on automations because we're working with scaling brands, not established brands. We do have established brands, but a lot of the brands we work with are scaling. So we've got a specific playbook that helps them. And you know what? We don't really do more than three campaigns a week for any brands. We don't have any that we do more than 3. And a lot of them we just do 2, and then maybe some extra stuff. Hey, we got to get a little reminder email out here or whatever. And when you think about when you send an extra email, it doesn't, like if you send 3 emails versus 2, it is not 50% more share of wallet from that customer. You are going to drive more attributed revenue. There's going to be a diminishing return when you convert attributed revenue into Shopify revenue. The only real way to know which frequency drives the most is to have a quarantine of people that you do not send any emails to, and then have a like 1% of your list or something, and then test an email frequency to one group, and then test an email frequency to another group. So you got a quarantine, and you got a frequency to one group, which would be 2 a week, and you got a frequency to another group, which is 3 a week. And you just compare actual spend over a year for those groups. That's how you do that. I don't know. Maybe these brands are doing it. Maybe they're not. I can't tell. But it's sending 1.25 emails a day is a lot of work. And so if you're going to take a strategy like that, make sure that you have a way to show the effectiveness of what you're doing, because we have lots of brands that do phenomenal on 2+ campaigns a week. We've got brands that say you're the best email agency you've ever worked with. And we're just pushing 2 campaigns a week because we use all these automations to increase inboxing after someone shows intent. And so it's like, that's just this extra little wind in your sails for the people who are most likely to be affected by it. So yeah, that's that. Here it is. Sydney Sweeney has great jeans. The Great Jeans Sale, 30 to 40% off, all jeans, pants, and shorts. What are some things that I noticed in here? Because great jeans are for everyone. That's kind of interesting, right? Because the whole wordplay on this, it's an interesting follow-up, as great jeans are for everyone. But then over here, live your life. Look, what did I think when I saw that? Live your life. It's like one that's kind of similar to their 2006 quote, "Only you can be you, so you just have to live your life being you." Looks like somebody managed to wordsmith that down to 3 words. It's pretty much John Bon Jovi, "It's My Life." I mean, you don't have to say anything new, right? This is just it's a young cohort that comes in, they're shopping for this stuff, and you can just reuse the exact same headlines and quips that have been used for generations. You can get away with it, so why not? So it's just Sydney Sweeney has great genes. Live your life. I don't see how those two things are tied together at all. So these emails are rather maximalist. Remember, we did the minimalist versus maximalist? These emails are on the side of maximalist. There is so much going on here, right? And then some recommendations at the bottom. So let's keep track of that as we progress. All right, just close off with some more emails. Hey, just some more stuff that hit my inbox. Happy underwear day. Don't wait for laundry day to realize you need more. I actually thought that was kind of funny. At the moment, my family is away. My wife and kids are away visiting some extended family. And so, I'm just running the whole house myself, and did find myself thinking, hey, I need more underwear. So yeah. It applies. And you know what? If they're actually segmenting by male and female, they might get a guy like me who notices that. So good headline. They're really pushing this 30 to 40% off everything. That's what's going on. And we can see I got double tapped again. So I've been double tapped. I've been triple tapped. They are just really, really, really getting stuff into my inbox. Okay. And then we got to the site. Okay. Hey, click through to the homepage. What do we see? We're just featuring 2 individual garments, clicking through to those 2 individual garments. So this is, it's studio shots. It's not lifestyle shots. I mean, hey, why not do lifestyle shots on the homepage? It's just, I kind of like lifestyle shots. My thought there. Progress a bit more. Hey, the pop-up. What are we seeing for the pop-up? 2 butts. They're showing us 2 butts for the pop-up and offering us 10% off. They say you really deserve an extra 10% off. This is interesting. I don't know if that really, do I deserve it? What did I do to deserve 10% off? And I've said this before, the copy is what sells. The imagery just reinforces the quality and maintains the AOV, but the copy is what gets the idea in your mind, right? So I don't know why I deserve an extra 10% off. It's just, it doesn't move me. Let's just say, right? Click on the kind of menu, and wow, there is a lot of stuff going on in here. Boho romance, right? AE Sun Chaser collection. There's so much going on in here. It's actually not helping me shop. Big company. I'm not going to say that they don't have conversion rate optimizers. They probably do, but maybe not having all of these things going on. You guys know the paradox of choice. It could be that removing some of these actually increases overall sales, or creating, a substructure. So you get into what you're looking for, which is jeans, shorts, shirts, right? Collections, and then seeing more. So I can, just find what I'm looking for, just thoughts when I see this thing. And then on the homepage overall, we got offers on the left, today's offers on the left, clearance on the right. These guys are a discount focused brand. And I like this now trending at the bottom. They've obviously got some software that's showing you what's trending that is useful. Social proof works. So we want to show shoppers, hey, this is what's cool right now, in the office, at school, whatever's going on, wherever people actually socialize anymore. I've been working from home for a long time, so I'm not sure. I socialize at company functions, kind of feeding my staff and buying them drinks. That's my socialization these days. But I like to see that now trending. Scroll down on the homepage. So this was the top of the homepage, and we're just it's basically, we lead in and it looks like a category page. I apologize. This is women's jeans. This is a category page. Homepage was the last one. So we're on this kind of jeans category page, and then I scroll down, and they actually, in the middle of the scroll, have the Sydney Sweeney has great jeans kind of creative. So they're actually splitting up their category scroll with what I would usually call a top banner, and they're inserting top banners in the scroll. That's kind of cool. I don't know, I like that, right? Because especially I forget how much this cost them, but it cost them a lot. It paid itself off for sure. But get the most of it. So they're inserting it into their scroll. And we see this back in stock, online exclusive, right? Back in stock is a valuable information. That means this thing's sold out, so it's probably good. Again, just more social proof. What are the dynamic merchandising tactics we use? Bestsellers, new to site, trending, recommendations, back in stock, price drop, perfect together, which is a match of recommendations. So that's about 7. And then there's that $35 pair of jeans, which I like, right? I like a $35 pair of jeans. Click through and look at the kind of get on the product detail page. I was not impressed with the PDP for American Eagle, considering what a large brand they are. They showed me the jeans. They did not show me items that would go well with those jeans. And like, seriously, I'm looking at the studio shot here, and the model has a pair of jeans and a really cool small jean jacket. I'd say tiny jean jacket. And I actually think the tiny jean jacket is cooler than the jeans. And it's not trying to sell me that on the right. There's no dynamic merchandising trying to sell me something to go with the jeans. They're just showing me shop more low-rise styles. How do we know that I picked these because they were low-rise? What if I picked them because of the color? So I just know that, if you improve the dynamic merchandising here, and we're going to have on the show Duncan McIntyre from our CRO team to discuss a lot of these tactics, a lot of these kind of cross-sell, upsell dynamic tactics that we use on websites through Rebuy. We'll have a focus episode coming up, which should help some of you who are in the webmaster camp. I just know that you can actually improve sales. We see it all the time in the numbers by getting this right. So this is not a super win. I do like this going fast, 1,900 added to the bag in the last 24 hours. It's good. And then when we continued, again, no upsell. So it's like, look, I've got to go in here and pick the right piece of clothing on the first try. Their website's not going to try to help me refine my search for the piece of clothing for the garment that I need right now. And it's not really going to try to sell me anything to go with that garment. So surprisingly unimpressed with what American Eagle is doing on site. Maybe we're going to split this one in half. It's lots of content. Let's split it up. Entrepreneurs, executives, spammers, and webmasters, have fun spamming.
In the inbox late night, glowing screens see the light. Email, everything feels alright.
Hey entrepreneurs and spammers, remember, you can't scale without email, and the cheapest customer to acquire is the customer you already have. So please subscribe to the world's best email and retention podcast and learn how to make low-cost revenue a big part of your digital ecosystem.